Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which of course means it is time for one of our weekly viewer specials. If you're new to the channel or just new to the series, first of all, welcome. Glad to have you here. And second of all, let me give you a little bit of a rundown of what we do. Every Monday, we showcase replays from you all, the viewers. A great opportunity to not only show some strategies I might not always have time to get to, but also just kind of cheer each other on for our cool games and our cool decks, and coming together as a community, all that fun stuff. So if you are interested in getting in for the viewer special, you're going to want to head down to the description box below. There is going to be an invite link to our Discord server, the Hexlexplex, and under the Master Duel section is a channel called Viewer Special Submission. There you can drop your 9-digit player ID, and then I'm able to see your publicly saved replays. If there's one particular replay that you'd like me to see, make sure that you're leaving your opponent's name, the date and time, a screenshot, just something where I know that that is the game you want me to watch. But that's pretty much all there is to it. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of your games. Okay, our first replay comes to us from Ashtanar, aka Porfio, over on the Discord server, who is rocking a pure Gem Knight deck. No tier limits or anything else like that. So pure Gem Knight means that we are going to be on a going second build, and we are looking to OTK. I don't cover a lot of going second decks on the channel, so thought we could definitely give a little bit of love to some of them here. Some pretty deep cuts here too, like Forbidden Chalice, Hey Trunade. So hopefully we'll get to see some of these in action here. What is this one here? Absorb Fusion? Oh, that's a Gem Knight spell. I thought that was another board breaker spell for some reason. Okay, so there's that, and then our opponent is going to be on a fairly standard meta branded deck. It's pretty much like all the other, well, not all the other branded builds. Branded's one of those decks where you can play a ton of different techs, and there's actually a ton of different ways to build out the deck, but all things considered, this one is fairly standard. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. We are winning the coin flip and choosing to go second because, of course, as mentioned, and as you probably already know, Gem Knight is a going second deck looking to OTK the opponent on their first turn, but it'll be the second turn of the game because we need the battle phase. So looks like a really solid hand right off the rip. We got the Fua, we got the triple attack, and the Chalice going into our turn. They're going to lead with Gold Sark, and we're chaining the Fualos right off the bat. So they're going to fire off an Ash Blossom in return, though, meaning we're going to have to push through whatever they set up here. The Gold Sark's probably going to banish the Mercurier, if I had to guess. Let's see. Yep, sure enough, Tri-Brigade Mercurier. Now Mercurier gets to activate, and that'll add Fallen of the White Dragon from deck to hand. Now Fallen of the White's going to activate, dumping the Alba Lenatus, and then that'll special summon the Incredible Ecclesia, which is then going to summon out the Golden Sword Soul from the deck. Now Alba Lenatus grabs fusion spells, if I remember right. During the end phase, you can add a Polymerization normal spell or fusion normal spell from your deck to your hand. So they're going to activate Quim and Golden Sword Soul here. Golden Sword Soul reviving the Ecclesia to let us fuse with the Cartessia we're about to get here in a moment. Oh no, actually we're going to Synchro Summon with the Fallen of the White. Oh, for the Sword Soul, which, yeah, this adds the Cartessia, of course. I've seen this kind of updated branded line a few times. I still need to craft the 3 Champions of Sword Soul at some point. Alright, Fallen of the White Dragon is revived, and then here is the Cartessia. Now Cartessia can special summon herself and will activate in order to fuse the Fallen of the White with the 3 Champions of Sword Soul. It's going to summon out Albion, the Branded Dragon. Now Albion gets to activate, and we're going to fusion summon out the Mirror Jade here by banishing the Albion on field and the Fallen of the White Dragon from the graveyard. Alright, set. Your Servant's going to dump Garura for Dogmatica Ecclesia. Now Garura gets a draw, and then Dogmatica Ecclesia, I imagine, is going to summon here and grab the Fallen and the Virtuous. Set 2 more and then pass back over to us. And phase Alba Lenatus is going to add them a Branded Fusion. And they also get the Incredible Ecclesia effect to return to hand, and I think that's it. Yep. Oh, and then, of course, yeah, regular Ecclesia comes back. Well, not regular, Synchro Ecclesia, you know what I mean. Alright, so we're going to begin with Gem Knight Hollow Core, dumping the Fusion in order to special summon. Mirror Jade's going to activate right off rip, dumping Rinbrum, and we're chaining the Forbidden Chalice. Now, Blazing Cartessia is going to activate in response, but that does make our triple attack live. I'm a little surprised they used Mirror Jade as quickly as they did, but maybe they were hoping to get the Shadow Core off the board before it can be used as fusion material. Alright, so they're going to go for the Granganol here, using the Mirror Jade as a material so that way the effect will resolve. Quem's going to activate reviving the Mirror Jade. And then Granganol's going to activate to dump Titaniclad. Now here's that triple tactics talent. We can take control of one of their monsters, and we're going to grab the Mirror Jade. Normal summon Gem Armadillo. They're going to chain the Fallen and the Virtuous, targeting their own Mirror Jade. Which, I think they should have saved their Fallen and the Virtuous here, because we definitely do not need their Mirror Jade to OTK. Gymnite is far more than capable of doing that on its own. We're going to use the Quartz to set Brilliant Fusion. Brilliant Fusion is going to get flipped up here, dumping 2 more Quartz of the Nephilim, and then that's going to summon out the Master Diamond Dispersion. Now Nephilim gets to activate, and then we are going to summon, and of course we also get the effect to search, but then they're going to Super Poly here. So Super Poly is going to fuse the Dogmatica Ecclesia with the Gymnite Nephilim, and that's going to make the Mud Dragon of the Swamp. And will they discard the Incredible Ecclesia for that? We get the Gymnite Dispersion here, which gets to activate. Looks like we're going to Fusion Summon, dumping the Nephilim and Topaz from our deck and extra deck to the graveyard to summon out the Gymnite Rose Lady Diamond, or Lady Rose Diamond, rather. They're going to activate Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon. We're chaining the Gymnite Hollow Core, which is going to get to negate that. So it looks like that last face-down card and potentially the Granganol effect is about the only disruption our opponent's going to have left. Here's Gymnite Ruby, Amethyst, and Aquamarine from the extra deck off the Master Dispersion F. We can bounce the face-down card, so there goes that. And they're going to concede as soon as we start to build our... You know, it's so funny. This is actually the exact point in which I concede whenever I play against Gymnites too. Or at least last time I did, from what I remember. As soon as that Master Diamond Dispersion effect resolves, you just know you're cooked. So that was a really good showcase of us pushing through the branded end board there. You know, that's another thing that I've also found playing against Gymnite is that they have a lot of push just inherently in their engine. A lot more than you might expect, which makes sense. You need to be resilient if you're going to be on like an OTK going second strategy, but no, Gymnite's very, very excellent at doing that. So thank you for the showcase there, Ashtanar. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next replay. All right, so for this next game, we're going to be taking a look at a replay from Trey, and Trey is going to be on another deck that I haven't visited in quite some time. It's Yubel, and we've got an extended Kashtira package here as well. Really helps us not only to go first, but also second, especially the Fenrir is a very good going second card, but the Unicorn especially too, being able to rip from the extra deck is a good thing to set up on turn 1 here. We've also expanded out to include some more Fiendsmith cards and hand traps in general. Looks like we are going to be up against Dracotail branded for this game. And yeah, their list is fairly standard, all things considered. So we're going second. Very eager to see, yet again, us pushing through a board. Another game of going second against branded. Of course, Gymnite, the last duelist, chose to go second. But here, we would have obviously preferred to have gone first. No Yubel cards in the opening hand is a little bit rough, but Dark Beckoning Beast and the Fiendsmith Engine is not a bad pair to have here. We've got Ghost Ogre and Bell here as well. They're going to fire off the Phimena here. They're going to fuse the Lucius with the Fulos and Phyruxal in hand, and we are going to get to... Well, let's see what they do here. Arthelion target the Phimena and the Lucius. Lucius F, and then Phyruxal effect gets to activate here. Okay, yeah, that's about right. So they chose to dump the Fulos in order to grab the Lucius back. I suppose that's fair. That's fine. Yeah. They're going to set Ketu and Rahu in order to keep extending their plays. Arthelion wheels back the Phimena and the Lucius. Alright, Ketu's going to get activated here, adding the Orgola. Next, Rahu gets to activate, dumping the Malulu from deck, as well as the Orgola from hand in order to make Golemel. That'll trigger 2 more Dracotail effects to set cards. They can set 2 of the trap cards here. Looks like it's going to be Flame and Horn. Alright, now Orgola is going to activate, but we're going to chain the Ghost Bell here. They're firing off the Crossout Designator in response. I think this is completely fine. Yeah, Orgola can add back the Fyroxol, but that's not the end of the world by any means. Set one more card, then pass back over to us. Okay, let's see what we top deck here. It's going to be an Ash Blossom. Would have been nice to have on their turn, of course, but it's still nice to have here, too. We can use it to negate one of the Dracotail trap cards here. It looks like they're going to chain Fallen and the Virtuous to our summoning of Dark Beckoning Beast. I do think they misplayed that. They definitely should have done it, I think, on the opening of the Spirit Gates. Would have denied not only the search, but also the revive here as well. But it looks like they were planning to use the Flame for this. Of course, we can... Oh, but we're not going to use Ash Blossom in response. Saving it for the Horn makes sense, because we already have the Tract in hand, so we can already make plays. Alright, we're going to dump the Lurie after adding another Engraver from deck to hand. Now here's the Dracotail Horn. Ah, but they misplayed it. They targeted their own Arthelion because we had a defense mode monster. We're going to Ash Blossom it anyway. They're going to chain the Phymena here, and then Golemel's going to pop the Lurie. So Ash Blossom does deny them the draw here. They're fusing Arthelion on board before it gets bounced. Okay. In order to make another Arthelion. And then we negate the Horn. Alright, so now their Arthelion's going to activate, putting back our Engraver, and then adding back some of their Dracotail monsters as well. They get to set, here's Sting. I really think they should have set Sting instead of Horn. I feel like Sting is generally a bit better than Horn right now in the current meta. Then our Engraver gets added back, and they get their Phymena. But now we get to use Tract's effect, and we can just fuse the two Engravers that are in our hand. So now not only do we make Fiendsmith's Lacrima and get to activate that here, but now we also have the option to use Engraver later. Looks like they're going to revive their Arthelion here, but now they're out of responses. Our opponent has nothing else they can do right now. Okay, so here's the Engraver. We get to use, yep, the Engraver effect as mentioned to revive. So we could, even if we wanted to, keep our Fiendsmith's Lacrima around here for a minute and keep the attack drop. That might end up being relevant, but let's see. We're going to go for the Fiendsmith's Requiem and then tribute that off for Lacrima. Now Lacrima can dump Fiendsmith in Paradise, and we're going to link off with the Engraver in order to make the sequence. Alright, sequence effect gets to activate. We're going to fuse Lacrima and Requiem in order to make Aerial Eater, of course. Because now Aerial Eater gets to activate, we can dump the Samsara D-Lotus. Now we can link Sequence plus Aerial Eater into the Muckraker from the Underworld. Now Muckraker gets to activate, and we can pitch our Ghost Ogre to revive the Samsara D-Lotus. And this is how you can access your Yubel line, even if all you really have is your Fiendsmith stuff, right? Because we still have the extra Fiendsmith's Lacrima hanging out on the board. Alright, now Spirit of Yubel is going to summon regular Yubel. Gravescormer summons and pops Yubel. Yubel summons the Terror Incarnate from deck. Now we're going to link off the Lacrima plus the Gravescormer, and that's going to let us make the Unchained Soul Lord of Yama. Remember, of course, that Muckraker can't be used as link material the turn she's summoned, but now we can add Shivara. Gravescormer is going to revive the Spirit of Yubel, and then we can also put a couple of our Yubel cards back for Phantom of Yubel. And now by simply running into the Dracotail Arthelion 3 times, we are going to secure lethal, because of course of the ability of Nightmare Pain to bounce our opponent's damage back to them. Or rather, our damage back to our opponent. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But good stuff. Excellent showcase, and definitely showing that Yubel still has a lot of meta relevancy. A lot of people, you know, kind of tend to sleep on decks like this because you don't see it around as often. It's easy to think it's bad now, but it really often does come down to, like, it's still a very solid deck. It's just that nobody really plays it in favor of newer stuff, but definitely showing that Yubel is still very good. All right, we have time for one more game, so let's finish off with that one. And our final replay comes to us from Dark Abyss, who is going to be on Dracotail, branded Dracotail, and we're going to be up against Mitsurugi Yummy, just a good old Justice Hunters matchup here, and looks to be a pretty good back and forth game. We got 5-turn replay here, so let's see how this one ends up panning out. All right, we're taking the first turn here, and Definitely not a bad hand at all. We've got Malulu, Phimena, and Branded Fusion. We'd prefer not to have Fallen of Albaz in hand, but not the end of the world by any means. We're going to activate Phimena, and they're going to chain Perulia. So now Phimena is going to fuse all 3 monsters in our hand in order to make the Dracotail Arthelion. We're going to go Chain Link 1 Arthelion, target Phimena, Malulu, Valor. Malulu F gets to activate. And we are going to get to set the Rahu after adding back those cards. Okay, here's the Phimena, and the Malulu, and the Valor, of course. Alright, Rahu gets to activate. They're going to chain Ash Blossom. A little bit rough, but we do at least have the Branded Fusion here. I think we should have another Albaz in our deck, right? Yep, here we go. Branded Fusion's getting to activate, dumping with the Phyruxal, and we are going to make the Sanctifier. Alright, Phyruxal's going to activate. We're going to set Ketu Dracotail. Now we get to activate, and this time we're going to add Dracotail Orgola to our hand. Going to the end phase into our opponent's turn, we've got the Valor, Phimena, and Sanctifier set up as Disruption. They're going to lead with Marshmallow Yummy, special summoning that before linking it off into the Yummy Snatchy. Alright, Yummy Snatchy effect gets to activate. We're going to chain Albion Sanctifier in order to revive Albaz and Perulia. Of course, we're going to put Albaz on our field and Perulia on theirs. That way, once Snatchy resolves, we can activate Albaz. We're going to discard the Valor, and then we're going to fuse with the Yummy Snatchy. And now we can summon out the Mirror Jade. Got that nice overframe as well. They're going to summon out the Aramasa here, pivoting from Yummy into Mitsurugi, adding the Habakiri from deck to hand. Now they're actually linking the Perulia off with the Aramasa in order to make the Camellia. This is their way of pivoting back into Yummy. But we're not going to let them. We're going to activate the Mirror Jade. They're going to chain Callby on the Albion, which of course does not stop the Mirror Jade from resolving. Although it does mean we're out Albion Search during the end phase and potentially using the effect on our next turn, but that's really not that big of a deal because we've still got, of course, all the Dracotail stuff we can do. They're going to activate Habakiri. We're chaining Phimena in response. We're going to fuse the onboard Arthelion with the Malulu in hand, and that's going to summon out the Golemel. Alright, here's Saji, and then it gets tributed. Saji's going to activate, and then Malulu gets to activate as well. Alright, Malulu is going to set Ketu Dracotail, and then Saji is going to grab the Mitsurugi Ritual. So it looks like they are going to be able to do their Mitsurugi stuff here. They're going to tribute the Habakiri in hand in order to summon out the Murakumo from deck. Now, of course, the Murakumo gets to activate as well as the Habakiri to search, but they're going to chain block that with the board wipe. So there goes our fusion monsters. Thankfully, that will at least trigger the Mirror Jade effect here. It's like they're grabbing the prayers in anticipation of that. And we also get to use the Arthelion effect. They're going to chain with Murakumo, however, leaving us a choice if we want the Orgola or the Arthelion on board. Looks like we are choosing to put the Arthelion on board. Gonna revive that. Then they're gonna go for the prayers, tributing Murakumo in order to add the Kusanagi. Our opponent definitely should have summoned the Habakiri from hand first, and they could have dumped Kusanagi that way. They didn't have to normal summon and use a prayers to search it up. It's definitely a bit of a misplay on their part. Alright, so we're adding, or they're adding Great Purification rather, and Murakumo gets to revive. Now they're linking off the Murakumo with the Kusanagi, and then making SP Little Knight. It's going to trigger our Golemel effect. They're going to chain Little Knight, banishing itself out with the Arthelion. And then here's that Golemel back again. Setting 2 and then passing. Yeah, I think they could have played that out a little bit better. But at least we get to pop there at Little Knight with the Mirror Jade. Alright, on our turn, we're going to flip up the Ketu Dracotail. They're going to chain that prayers they had. So I guess I understand why they went for Little Knight. I just don't think it was really necessary. But they do still get to revive the Murakumo here. We're going to add Orgola and then fuse with the Golemel in order to make the Secretarian Dragon. Now Orgola gets to activate. They're going to chain the Habakiri effect, or the Murakumo rather. We're going to... Ooh, we're actually Oh, it's the board wipe. Sorry, I thought it was a negate. I thought we were about to discard the Veiler here. No, but it was the board wipe effect. So Secretarian gets popped. Orgola gets to activate. They're going to chain Murakumo, and we're going to discard the Veiler in order to add back the Fyruxel. Normal summon, then we can special summon the Malulu from the graveyard. They're going to chain Great Purification here, banishing it to tribute the Murakumo and then revive Kusanagi. So now their Kusanagi and Murakumo get to activate here. Getting a search from deck and then adding the prayers back from graveyard to hand. We're going to chain Malulu's effect in order to fuse in response. And is this the third Arthelion? It is, okay. I think it's the third one. Let me see. Oh, I think they're banished. No, it's only the second one, okay. Yeah, third one's right there. All right. So the Murakumo does get revived. We're going to activate Arthelion and then chain Fyruxel as well as Malulu. So now Malulu is going to set, and I think we're bouncing the Murakumo here, right? Did I see that right? Yes, okay, so their Murakumo's back in their hand. We're battling over the Kusanagi, and we have all three of the Dracotail trap cards set up. We're putting ourselves in a really, really good position here, which I do like that we're doing. Like, this is something that I think a lot of players can end up misplaying on, is they kind of like, they try to OTK in every single scenario, but sometimes you gotta know when to give up the OTK and just go for the grind game. Like, not just playing a control deck like Sky Striker or something, but even just in general for situations like this. All right, we're gonna use Flame on their Sky Striker and Mecha Hornet drones. They're chaining prayers, and then we're chaining Ghost Spell to negate the prayers. So both these spell cards are about to get negated. Murakumo can search, but I don't think they really have anything that great left to search at this point. Prayers is in the graveyard. Great Purification's been banished. Kusanagi's in the graveyard. We can just Ash Blossom the search anyway. We still have that Dracotail Horn face down as well. So even if they have, like, I was just gonna say, even if they have like a yummy monster here, we can just go ahead and bounce it right back. Not have to worry about that. They're still gonna... Oh, were they even targeting with the Lollipo? Oh, it was Sting. Okay, that's fine. All right, they're left at 5K. They've got, I think, just one card in hand we don't know about here. And as soon as we activate Orgola, they're gonna concede. So like I said, great example of knowing when to pivot away from trying to OTK and going into more of a focus on the grind game, making sure we're maintaining advantage over our opponent, as well as the ability to stop all of their plays, which that last turn 4 of ours, I think demonstrated beautifully. So thank you very much, Dark Abyss, as well as everybody else who submitted for the viewer special. As always, and as mentioned up top, if you want to get in on the viewer special, head down to the Discord link in the description below. And thanks to everybody who submitted, not everyone who just got featured, but submissions as well, because if nobody submitted, we wouldn't be able to do this series. And I really like this series. I like that we get to do it every single week. So thank you all again. That's going to do it for now, though. Let's move on to the outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.